My name's James Eder and I'm a founder and entrepreneur. I grew up in northwest London, one of 5 children. I would say I had a normal upbringing and I just got on with things, to be honest. I remember didn't like sport that much growing up, which we'll come on to. I ended up going to University of Birmingham, getting involved in everything and anything in life. When I was younger, it's really interesting. I got diagnosed 5 years ago that I've got this heart condition. And the doctor said I'd always had it, and it's a genetic condition. And again, we'll talk more about exactly what the condition is in a bit later on. But going back, in hindsight, there were these moments and things that happened. And from memory, the first earliest one is specifically sport as a kid. I really didn't enjoy doing it. And I remember trying to run and being forced to do cross country and trying any excuse to get out of it. And when I was doing it, I was always at the back and I was struggling. And at the time, I got diagnosed, I think, as a kid, sport-induced asthma. I mean, it's asthma, and there was just okay, fine. And partly maybe I didn't enjoy it so much, so I didn't really question it. And then when I was 18, and again, these moments when they actually happened, and when I was 18, I was in Australia, in Kakadu National Park, and I remember the guide saying, you're swimming in water that's fresh water, so the buoyancy is not very good. So if you're not a very good strong swimmer, suggest you stay with people and you swim with a float or something. And I used to love swimming, thought I was a very strong swimmer, and when I was age 3, I could swim the whole length under the water without coming up, and I remember it being almost this party trick on family holidays. Anyway, there I am in Kakadu National Park, swimming along, and my friend said, can I have the float? I said, sure. And I was then swimming by myself, and suddenly just all the energy went from me. And I can't explain what it was, but I was trying to swim, and bearing in mind it was potentially crocodile-infested water as well, which sounds a bit extreme, but on the side there were these grates that had meat in it in case crocodiles swam up to do that. So maybe there was a bit of anxiety on that level. But anyway, as we're carrying on, the rocks as well, the sheer rocks are so soft because they go straight into the water, so there's nothing to grab onto. And I literally found all the energy going from my body. And it was I'm going to say a near-death experience, as close as I've got, that I went under the water. And I was like, this is what it's like to die. It was extreme. And I managed to get myself as close to the edge. And there was a lip standing out. Had that not been there, I really would have gone under. And no one was near me. And anyway, I managed to get up, get out. And we got to this beach area where everyone else was. And the guide who was with us could see that something clearly wasn't right. And I just lay on the bed, on the floor even. And everyone else was looking at these amazing waterfalls and everything. And I was just there. And he then pushed me back to the campsite. And again, that evening, I was just very tired, just not feeling great. Went to bed, woke up the following morning, absolutely fine. And then a few years later, again, things I just carried on, but nothing significant. And then 2016, I remember going for a hike and just really struggling. Anything elevated, anything on a walk, anything, steps were fine, but going up any kind of hill, walking, something like that, really, really challenged. And in New Year 2016, New Year's Eve 2017, I remember being in a ski resort. I could ski fine, but I had to move our bags. They dropped us somewhere, and I had to move it up the slope hill to the accommodation. And it took me about 45 minutes to recover. And my partner was over at the time, just we didn't even think. It just wasn't even we just thought, oh, I'm just a bit unfit. And that's my narrative to myself was just a bit unfit. Then it was January 2017, I went to something called dance cardio, which is a high energy dance, something called frame. And there's a room full of people and everyone's sweating and, doing this high power dancing. And I'm just standing there, it's a Monday night, and I can't get the energy to do anything. And my friend's dripping with sweat, and there I am, barely, there was just if I lift my arm, it would just flop down. There was just nothing. And again, at the time, there was I had no reference for that something was really, really wrong. And the final time before the incident, I'm going to say, which we'll talk about, was 5 years ago, almost to the weekend, I was in Copenhagen. And I was in a new relationship, and it was sounds very jet set. We flew in to see each other. He was from the Netherlands, I'm in London, and we flew into Copenhagen, and we doing a tour of the city, and we went up this like church steeple tower where they had a viewing platform at the top. And I remember just being like struggling, like every level we were climbing ladders, and my breath was just really struggling. And we got to the top, and I really didn't feel right, and we cancelled dinner, and we both flew home separately. And I remember calling my mum. I was like, I think I've got vertigo, and I'm still quite dizzy, and I don't feel great, and things just kind of settled. And again, I just carried on. But it was these things kind of in hindsight that then I add up, and were they all this heart condition? The chances are that they may well have been. I'm a very high energy person normally, and it was very related to physical exertion. Like I can, being an entrepreneur and running a company that I did from the age of 22 till for 10 years, and then another startup. I was working 12 to 18-hour days, and I could do that, and I could be on stage, and I could deliver, and I could do, when I'm in the moment and passionate about it, and all of those things, if it's like amazing. And those things were very specifically a physical exertion, and again, which is familiar with the heart condition. Thanks for watching. To find out more about the charities that help support those with heart conditions, their families and loved ones, please have a look at the British Heart Foundation, Cardiomyopathy UK, and Save 9 Lives. Feel free to comment on the video and subscribe.